The moment school ended, I set off with my 3 close friends, Emma, Lucas, and Sophia, on the vacation we had been planning for so long. I was behind the wheel, driving through narrow, winding roads that led us to a small town on the Adriatic coast. Its name was Stari Grad. On the map, it looked tiny, but it had stood for centuries, with stone houses and narrow streets that whispered of history. Tourists often visited, but we had rented an old summer house far from the crowds on the most isolated edge of the shore. The moment I stepped out of the car, the salty sea air mixed with the smell of seaweed rushed into my lungs. The summer sun was setting, painting the horizon in crimson and violet tones. I should have felt peace, but instead, a strange unease grew inside me. It felt as if our reason for coming here wasn't just to relax. When we first saw the house, silence fell over us. It looked far older and more neglected than in the photos. The balcony railings were rusted, the garden overrun with weeds. Some windows were cracked, others looked almost shattered. Emma laughed. "This is the perfect horror movie house," Lucas added. "Great, then the theme of our vacation is set." Sophia said nothing, her eyes fixed on the house. As I pushed the key into the lock, the rusty metal screeched, tearing through the quiet evening. The door groaned open. A wave of dampness and mold hit us. The curtains looked as if they hadn't been opened in decades, shrouding the room in half-darkness. The wooden floorboards creaked under our steps. As I crossed the threshold, my heart pounded faster. I couldn't explain it, but it felt like the house had been waiting for us. Lucas flicked the switch on the wall. A dim yellow light filled the room. In the center stood an old mirror covered in dust. For a split second, the reflection caught a shadow. I rubbed my eyes, unsure if it was just a trick of the light, or if someone had silently slipped away into the darkness. "Come on, let's check upstairs," Emma said eagerly. But I kept staring at the mirror, my unease growing stronger with every passing second. This house was no ordinary house, and in that moment I felt it clearly. Something was watching us. By the time night fell, the town had sunk into an almost complete silence. From the window, I could see the stone streets empty, the only sound coming from the waves breaking against the shore. Emma suggested we go down to the beach. Lucas agreed immediately, and I followed them. The moonlight shimmered like silver on the Adriatic. The sound of waves crashing against the shore echoed with an eerie rhythm. "It feels like a dream, but too quiet," Sophia whispered. I felt the same, that this silence wasn't natural, but rather something invisible, trying to smother us. After walking along the beach for a while, we returned to the house. As I stopped at the door, my eyes caught something carved into the weathered wood above it. The letters, eroded by time, were barely legible. Ostani. "What does that mean?" Lucas asked. Sophia hesitated before answering. "In Croatian, it means don't go, stay." Inside, the air felt even colder than before. The curtains were drawn, but a pale ray of moonlight fell into the living room, landing directly on the old mirror. As I stepped closer, I noticed smudges on its surface, like marks left by breath or steam. A handprint, as if someone had been trying to push their way out of the glass. Emma laughed, probably from the last tenants. But I knew better. That print was fresh, and all I could think was, this house wasn't ours, and it never would be. I couldn't sleep that night. The silence was suffocating. Footsteps echoed somewhere deep in the house. Lucas whispered. Someone called my name. My chest tightened, because I had heard my own. At dawn, I found Sophia by the window. Her eyes were bloodshot. All night, someone from the sea kept saying one word, "Come." That evening, we went to the beach. The sea was dark under the moonlight. Then I saw it. A black figure above the waves. It vanished, then reappeared. Emma screamed, "There's someone out there!" But I knew at once it wasn't human. Its arms were too long, its face gone, and it was coming toward us from the water. When we returned from the beach, the air inside the house felt heavier. The curtains were drawn, yet somehow moonlight crept into the living room, straight onto the mirror. I stepped closer. On the fogged surface were scratches. At first random, but then I saw it. A face. Empty eyes, mouth stretched open in a silent scream. "Who did this?" Sophia whispered. I had no answer. Suddenly Emma's voice echoed from the living room. "I'm here." I spun around, but no one was there. Lucas bolted upstairs and I followed. Emma's room was empty. Windows shut, door locked from the inside. But in the center of the room stood another mirror, and in it, Emma's reflection. She wasn't looking at us, she was thrashing, screaming, but no sound came out, as if she was trapped behind the glass. Lucas pounded the mirror, but it only answered, with a deep, resonant hum. Emma was gone, and all we could do was watch her vanish into the reflection. That night, staying in the house was unbearable. Whispers came from every room. Shadows stirred in every mirror. "We need to get out," Sophia cried. We ran to the door, but it wouldn't open. As if the house was mocking us. Through the windows, I saw something even worse, our reflection staring back at us. Every attempt to escape was blocked by another version of ourselves. Then Emma's voice echoed from inside. "Don't go. Our summer isn't over." Her words froze my blood. Lucas smashed a chair against the glass. It shattered, but instead of the outside world, another room appeared behind it. The same room, the same furniture. The house was folding in on itself, endlessly. We bolted toward the beach. Under the moonlight, the sea roared and swelled. And then I saw them, the faceless figures, rising from the waves, dozens, maybe hundreds of them, all staring straight at us. Sophia fell to her knees, sobbing. I stood frozen because the voice from the water was now crystal clear. "You will stay here?" Something inside me broke. There was no escape. Our vacation would never end. Because we belonged to the house, the sea, the shadows. And as the darkness swallowed us, only one sentence echoed in my mind. Our summer will never end.